It's been over 2 years since my ex-girlfriend and I broke up. After college graduation, she got accepted straight into a prestigious grad program and left the city we both knew so well. Meanwhile, after my own grad school applications were all rejected, my only option was to move back to my hometown, get a job, and become just another face in the corporate grind. Without a shared city or common topics of conversation, and with a pile of family and life pressures on top, we fell apart. I tried to imagine making a long-distance thing work, but I couldn't even picture it. I gave up on a relationship that felt like it had no future. Life after her was simple. Wake up, catch the train, go work, get chewed out, eat lunch, leave work, come home, get chewed out by my parents. Day after day, video games became the only escape in my life. As for her, I only ever saw her once or twice in my dreams. But when I woke up this morning, she was right next to me. Or rather, I was right next to her. The alarm blared. Drowsy, I fumbled around for my phone, only to realize I was already holding it. It had become a bad habit, scrolling on my phone until the early morning hours, then crashing for a few hours. I glanced at the screen. 6:45 a.m. If I didn't get up now, I'd be late. Ugh, MMM. Whose alarm is that? I don't have anything scheduled today. Where was that woman's voice coming from? I jolted awake. Thanks to that voice, I suddenly realized this wasn't my bedroom. A loft bed with a guardrail, a canopy of string lights twinkling like a starry sky. It looked exactly like a college dorm room. HNNGH. MMM. The voice wasn't just coming from outside the canopy. It was right next to me. I pinched myself hard. It hurt. A lot. This was no dream. This was something far weirder than any dream. I vaguely recalled my dream from last night. I dreamed of my ex, but that's all I could remember. But this felt real. The warm, soft presence beside me didn't feel fake. So, the question was, where the hell was I, and who was the girl next to me? Carefully, I turned over, slowly moving from facing the wall to facing her. Holy shit. In my wildest dreams, I never would have imagined that the sleeping girl in front of me would be my ex-girlfriend, the one I'd broken up with years ago. Could this really be her dorm room? I couldn't believe this was real, but the ex-girlfriend in front of me looked undeniably authentic. 2 years had passed, but she looked just like I remembered. Wearing pajamas and hugging her comforter, she seemed completely unaware of my presence, lost in her own dream world. A wave of panic washed over me. A 6-foot-tall guy, wearing nothing but his boxers, suddenly appearing in a women's dorm at a prestigious university? No matter how you spun it, that was a crime. If she was real, then this had to be her dorm. Her university was 1,000 miles from my home. It was a multi-hour flight to get here. The only thing I had with me was my beat-up, paint-chipped phone. Without even an ID, I couldn't explain how I got into a women's dorm. They'd probably think I was a lunatic and have me committed. This was hell. No, this was worse than hell. What time is it? 7. Time to get up. Huh? Maybe she finally noticed how crowded the small bed felt. In her sleepy state, she seemed to be waking up. She rubbed her eyes and looked right at me. Our eyes met. Holy shit. It's fine, you guys go have fun. I'm just gonna hang out in the dorm all day. Yeah, don't worry about me. My ex-girlfriend sat across from me, and neither of us said a word. It wasn't until her roommates, finally reassured, had all left the dorm that she let out a sigh of relief. I still feel like I'm dreaming. My ex-boyfriend just magically appears in my bed. Still in her pajamas, she pinched her own cheek, but her gaze refused to meet mine. You and me both? I sighed deeply. I had to call in sick to work and tell my parents I'm on a last-minute business trip. There goes my perfect attendance bonus for the month. It was agonizing. My salary was already tight, and now I had to deal with this. The future looked bleak. Anyway, can you get off my bed? We're going to make it collapse. She seemed annoyed, or maybe just embarrassed. She pulled back the canopy, climbed down the ladder, and landed on the floor. I had no reason to refuse. Better to get out of her bed and try to figure this out than to sit there in awkward silence. I swung my legs over the side and easily reached the cool floor, then sat down in her desk chair. Her grad school dorm was much bigger than I expected. A loft bed with a desk underneath, a wardrobe, a private balcony, and a bathroom. It was a serious upgrade from my college days. Hey, stop looking around, you idiot. I could still call campus security and have you arrested. She leaned against her roommate's desk. Though she still wouldn't look at me, her face was much redder than before. She must hate me, I thought. The day we broke up, I deleted everything related to her. Her number, our photos, our chat history. To me, they were like mocking, smiley faces. Only after deleting everything did I feel like I could move on. Because of that, I had no way of knowing what she was up to, nor did I have the desire to find out. I had no idea why she'd really broken up with me, or what she truly thought of me. What was going on in this petite woman's head? I told you not to look at me. She suddenly snapped, her voice full of irritation. I'm serious. I'll call the cops. Then do it. I shot back, my own temper flaring. I made a point of staring right at her. I appeared here out of thin air. There's no security footage of me coming in, no plane ticket from my hometown. If you report this, you'll be investigated too. My words seemed to stun her into silence. She stood there for a long moment, speechless. It wasn't until I sneezed that she moved, walking over to her wardrobe and rummaging through it. Sorry, you're right, I said, suddenly calm. If you need to change, I'll wait in the bathroom. I promise I won't peek. No matter what, I was in her dorm, and we had been broken up for a long time. We were both victims of this unexplainable, supernatural event. It was only natural for her to be on edge. I wasn't going to make things harder for her, even if it meant just staying at her dorm. I looked around for the bathroom, and as I started to walk past her, she stuck out her arm to stop me. She was holding a large, long-sleeve t-shirt with some kind of cool graphic on it. This is the only thing that'll fit you, she said, tossing the shirt at me, as if giving alms to a beggar. Don't get the wrong idea. It'd be even more trouble if you caught a cold in here. I was stunned for a moment. Just as I was about to thank her, I saw her muttering something under her breath. He saw my PJs and everything. How is he still such a dumbass after we broke up? What did you say? Hey, don't hit me. That actually hurt. I tried to ask what she'd said, but all I got in response was a solid punch to the arm. The last time we'd eaten takeout together like this was on Valentine's Day, years ago. I remember it clearly. Neither of us had class, and we had no idea what to do. They say a group of people will always come up with an idea, but the two of us thought for ages and couldn't come up with a single satisfying plan. I joked that maybe it was because there were only two of us. She laughed and said maybe so. We left campus and wandered aimlessly down side streets, through parks and along main roads. As we passed a fast food place, she suddenly said she was hungry and wanted to get something to eat. I hadn't eaten breakfast either, and after walking around for so long, my stomach was empty too. I was about to lead her inside, but she stopped me with a mysterious look, waving her phone at me. On the screen was her takeout order. Let's go get a hotel room and eat takeout, she'd said. I opened my banking app and checked my balance. My allowance for the month was running low, but I definitely had enough to split the cost with her. When I tried to ask if she needed money, she disappeared, quickly returning with the food. We're not going back to the dorms tonight, she'd said with a smile, pulling up a map on her phone. After we eat, we can watch movies all night. What are you thinking about? The food's getting cold. Her voice overlapped with the memory of the girl from my past. I rubbed my eyes, feeling a bit dazed, and admitted that I was just thinking about old times. She didn't seem to care, just picking at the stir-fry in a plastic container. I ate my rice mechanically, my mind still stuck on that night. We watched movies together. The person in front of me was no longer the person I knew. We were over. I tried to remind myself of my place. We were strangers now. There was no need for any other kind of interaction. I had to find a way out of her dorm, whether by plane or train, and get back to my life. That's what I needed to do. So, what were you thinking about? Her leg was swinging rhythmically, causing her ponytail to bounce along with it. Nothing, just remembered that we had a day like this once, eating takeout together. She just snorted, her chopsticks never stopping as she searched for the chicken she liked in her bowl. Okay, time to change the subject. I felt so awkward. Talking about the past with my ex-girlfriend was more agonizing than giving a presentation at work. I was just rambling, I said, putting down my bowl. My hands fidgeted, unsure of where to go. So, how are your studies going? It's whatever, she said like a talking puppet. Presentations, research projects, it's as boring as your job. This was excruciatingly awkward. Neither of us said anything else. The only sound in the dorm was the sound of us eating. I remember that day too. We watched La La Land, and we ate Chipotle. I looked up sharply. She had picked up a napkin to wipe her mouth, but her eyes darted away. You remember that? Duh, she said, balling up the napkin and tossing at me. No more questions. Finish eating, so we can figure out how to get you out of here. 4. Dressed in the work clothes she'd bought for me, I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my appearance. According to her, the day I woke up in her dorm was coincidentally the day the water delivery service was scheduled to come. If I tried to leave alone, the dorm supervisor would definitely catch me and hand me over security. But you have me, she said, smiling and patting my shoulder. It'll be fine. They're not going to arrest both of us, right? I wouldn't be so sure, I said, my nervousness palpable. I can't believe a law-abiding citizen like me would get mixed up in something like this. The clothes were less a costume and more actual workwear. Aside from not having any paint stains, I looked just like one of those maintenance workers. She insisted the outfit was fine and that the dorm supervisor wouldn't look too closely. As long as I could get past the main entrance of the women's dorm, the rest would be easy. No one would question a guy casually walking out of the main university gates. I hope you're right, I said, taking deep breaths. Like you said, this is the one and only obstacle. The women's dorm was the first and only hurdle. Once I got past the supervisor, all I had to do was get out of her university, call an Uber, and head to the airport. I could get a temporary pass at security since I'd forgotten my physical ID, and she had already helped me book a ticket on my phone while we ate. I was suddenly grateful that I'd only woken up in her dorm and hadn't, say, suddenly swapped bodies with her. If we'd switched bodies, I could have easily walked out of the women's dorm, but then the real hell would begin. All right, time to pack up and hit the road. Or are you going to miss this place? She joked as she gathered the empty takeout containers, saying she would walk me down. Why does everything you say sound so weird? What's wrong? If you're not used to it, we could just break. She suddenly cut herself off, silently picking up the trash bag and opening her dorm room door. It wasn't just me. For a split second, she had also forgotten that we were already broken up. Her dorm wasn't far from the stairwell, but the walk felt like an eternity. How we end up like this? And why did fate decide we should meet again in this way? Did this relationship, which I thought I had long since put behind me, still hold a place in my heart? Okay, you go ahead. Now watch me work. She coughed twice, and I realized we were already at the building's entrance. I immediately hunched over, pretending I just finished a job, pulled the brim of my baseball cap down low, and walked towards the bright exit. Hey, you there. Where did you come from? A middle-aged woman's voice called out from behind me. I was too nervous to turn around. I just stood there frozen, terrified the dorm supervisor was about to bust me. Let me tell you, son, the voice grew closer. If you're sneaking in here to see your girlfriend, that's a serious offense. I don't tolerate that kind of behavior. First, I'll call your department advisor, then your parents, and if it's serious, I'll call the police. Just then, she rushed out. Oh, that man. Thanks so much for the help. Drive safe. I still didn't dare to turn around. I just nodded and bolted out the door. That was a maintenance guy. Honey, I didn't see him come in, and he looks pretty tall. You probably just missed him, she said, quickly changing the subject. He comes by all the time, drops things off, and leaves. He works really hard. Well, the clothes look right. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. By the way, sweetie, no classes today. Oh, you shouldn't eat so much takeout. Next time I'm home, I'll bring you some real food. I wasn't in the mood to listen to her chat with the supervisor. I just kept my head down, my hat pulled low, and walked towards the university gates. 5. She walked with me all the way to the airport entrance. This scene felt so familiar. Back in college, whenever there was a holiday, we would say our goodbyes at the train station just like this. Either I was seeing her off, or she was seeing me off, or we were both heading into the station together, waving and hugging before parting ways. But this wasn't the same airport, and she wasn't the same girl I could hug goodbye. Time changes everything, even when something as bizarre as this happens. I knew that our paths were meant to be parallel lines. You need to get your temporary pass, right? Do you need me to come with you? She was wearing a cute, playful outfit, and the charm hanging from her bag was no longer the little cat I had bought for her. No, I'm good, I said, waving my hand and pointing toward the sign with a police symbol. It's right over there. I'll get it and then go wait for my flight. You should head back. I didn't want any more involvement with her, and I shouldn't have any. She was going to be a master's graduate from a top university. Whether she went into the professional world or continued in academia, that was her path. My path was to get some certifications, work on my performance reviews, and buy more video games with my salary. All right then, be safe, she said, her tone casual as she leaned against a railing. And don't show up on my bed again. My heart can't take it. Same here. One or two more times, and my life will be completely ruined. I just hope some government agency doesn't start pulling security footage and track me down. Ha ha. Neither of us looked at each other. We just made lame jokes as if this was all perfectly normal. Figuring it was about time, I prepared to head inside. With no luggage, I decided to treat this whole thing as a spontaneous trip. Wait, she suddenly called out to me. Want exchange numbers? So you can let me know you landed safely. She held out her phone, her contact QR code displayed on the screen. It's just, so I know you weren't arrested by the police, which would implicate me too. Wouldn't having your number make me look even more like an accomplice? I teased her, but opened my own phone and pulled up the contact info for my work number. You get a new number? I didn't tell her it was my work phone, just that I had to be more professional now that I was in the working world. The moment I got on the plane, I planned to block her, even on my work phone. A relationship that was over. Trying to revive it would only cause pain for both of us. I never believed in fate, and that included with her. That's why I had so readily agreed to the breakup, deleting everything related to her without a second thought. And yet, I still dreamed about her. I still thought about her, about our past. And today was no different. I still added her number instead of just walking away with a cool, we're done. Maybe I wasn't perfect after all, I thought. Well, this is it. Bye. Maybe I'll see you around. I waved without looking back. If this was all just a dream, it was time for it to end. 6. I dragged my exhausted body home. Work was insane today. Even my boss stayed late to work overtime. By the time I got home, it was already 11:30 p.m. A month had passed since my interdimensional trip to my ex's dorm, and I hadn't dreamed of her since. Her contact was still saved on my work phone, but aside from a few polite texts after I landed, neither of us had sent a single message. I figured that was normal. If we kept talking, one of us would eventually see that dreaded red exclamation mark of a blocked contact. It seemed we both understood each other well. Standing in front of the fridge, I rummaged through the contents, but couldn't muster the energy to cook. After a long pause, I grabbed a Coke, a couple of eggs, and went to the kitchen to make a pack of instant ramen. Even though I lived with my parents, it had become our new normal for me to go to work and play my games while they were busy with their own lives. Like tonight, they were off enjoying their retirement on a trip to Florida, while I was sitting in the living room slurping noodles just to fill my stomach. After the breakup, my life seemed to revolve around one thing: working hard to earn money to buy video games. The idea of settling down and starting a family, something my parents constantly brought up, no longer seemed important. I knew myself too well. No one would fall in love with me, and it was unlikely I would ever fall in love with someone else again. After experiencing love, I didn't know what I needed, but I knew for sure that I didn't need love. Reborn, I will make that evil ex-girlfriend pay. My thumb scrolled endlessly through my phone as the noodles quickly disappeared. I was getting tired of these short videos. They all followed the same formula: time travel, rebirth, revenge. Thinking about it, I didn't want to be reborn, and I certainly didn't want revenge on my ex. The first half of my life had been boring, and I was the kind of person who would probably waste a second chance even if I got one. As for my ex, she hadn't done anything to hurt me. Looking back, it was just a peaceful breakup, but I still didn't know the reason we ended up this way. Probably just not compatible. Right from the start, I muttered to myself, cleaning up my so-called dinner. Who cares? Time for shower and bed. I had work tomorrow. All I needed to do was shower, climb into bed, and have a nice dream. Tomorrow was just another ordinary workday. I dragged my weary body out of bed. Even without the sun or an alarm, my work routine was so ingrained that I could wake up at the exact right time. Brushing my teeth and washing my face were muscle memory. Even before my brain was fully awake, I could get it all done and head back to my room to get dressed. But when I walked into my room, I froze. There was someone on my bed. After the incident of waking up in my ex's dorm, I'd lost some of my faith in science. So the question was this a person or a ghost? My bed wasn't particularly large, just a bit wider than a twin. The figure was lying right next to me, yet I hadn't felt a thing. I backed out of the room slowly, went to the kitchen, and grabbed a fruit knife. My courage grew a little. Re-entering the room, I unlocked my phone, ready to dial 911 at a moment's notice. Get up. I don't care if you're a person or a ghost. I'm not afraid of you. I forced myself to turn on the light, my hand gripping the knife, slick with sweat. The thought of having to go to work fueled my anger. I kept yelling at the dark figure, telling it to get out of my bed. Who is it? So loud this early in the morning. So sleepy. A familiar voice emerged. I dropped the knife and yanked back the covers, praying it wasn't who I thought it was. But it was. The familiar pajamas, the familiar face. What goes around comes around. This time, my ex-girlfriend had appeared in my house. She sat on my living room sofa, glaring at me with a resentful expression. What were you doing with a knife? Were you trying to murder me? I tried to explain, half laughing, half crying, that I didn't know if she was a person or a ghost. The fact that I thought to grab a knife for protection already put me ahead of most people. My house is different from your dorm. When the blackout curtains are closed, even an angel couldn't tell if it's day or night, I said, tapping my watch. And now I'm late again. No, with this situation, being late is the least of my problems. Hugging her knees, she still hadn't let her guard down, demanding to know what tricks I'd used to kidnap her. Are you crazy? My perfect attendance bonus is gone again. For the second month in a row, my own anger flared. Look around, this is my house. You're the one who suddenly appeared here. Okay. She stood up suspiciously, but kept her distance. It wasn't until she walked over to my balcony, yanked open the curtains, and stared at the view outside that she finally believed me. So it's not a dream. She muttered, pinching her thigh hard. Ouch, definitely not a dream. What the hell is going on? How should I know? I sighed, slumping onto the sofa. All I know is my attendance bonus is gone. For 2 months. That's enough money to buy several new games. She relaxed a bit and sat down across from me, explaining that she had been so hostile because she thought it was a nightmare. Think about it. Your ex-boyfriend holding a knife in an unfamiliar place. You'd think the same thing, right? I thought about it. If, last month, she hadn't been next to me and had instead been holding a knife in an empty dorm room. Yeah, that would be terrifying. Her mood improved considerably. She seemed to have forgotten about the whole teleportation issue and was now looking around my house like a curious child. Hey, haven't you realized something yet? I couldn't take it anymore. You're in the same situation I was. You're 1,000 miles away in my house. I know, she said, seemingly unfazed. This is great. I get a few days off. All I have to do is what you did, grab my phone, and her hand froze in midair, and tears welled up in her eyes. My phone. Why didn't it come with me like yours did? After rummaging through my entire apartment, I finally found an old phone and handed it to her. She held it like a child who had never seen chocolate before, cradling it as if it were a treasure. Is this the phone you used when we were together? Probably, I said, glancing at it. I bought a new one impulsively with my first paycheck after starting work. This one has been honorably discharged to a drawer ever since. I took the old phone back from her, found a matching charger, and handed both to her. It doesn't have a SIM card, but if your messaging apps aren't tied to your phone number, you should be able to use it. If not, then we're out of luck. She nodded, obediently taking the phone and charger and crouching down by an outlet in the living room. Her situation was even more awkward than mine had been. Without her phone, she had no way to contact her professors, classmates, or family. A graduate student who vanishes from her university dorm is a much bigger deal than a pervert who mysteriously appears in a women's dorm. Most importantly, she had appeared in my house, of all places. Just like me, there would be no record of her leaving campus, no travel history on public transport. Even without her phone, I could buy her a plane ticket and get her to the airport. She could be back at her school by evening. That wasn't the problem. The problem was if her classmates or professors had already reported her missing. If that happened, our situation would be far worse than my little escapade last month. It's turning on! It's turning on! She exclaimed from her corner, more excited than I was. What's your Wi-Fi password? I need to download my apps. The phone's not wiped. You can just connect to the Wi-Fi directly. I brought her a chair and pulled up a stool for myself. I didn't know how nervous she was, but having put my fate in her hands, I was more stressed than I had been when trying to escape her dorm. Her fingers flew across the screen, typing in her account and password. The moment a familiar interface appeared on the screen, we both let out a sigh of relief. That scared the hell out of me. I thought we were in for some serious trouble, she said, clutching her chest. This is way more intense than when you showed up at my dorm. I don't know about that. All I know is my bonus is gone. She stood up with a smile, dusted off her pajama pants, and patted my shoulder, asking what I wanted to eat. Her treat. Well, since it's come to this, let's get some food, she said cheerfully. By the way, what's your address? I'll order. She looked incredibly excited. Wearing my clothes, she had a cool yet cute vibe that turned a few heads as we walked down the street. After we finished breakfast at my place, she didn't seem to be in any hurry to go back to school. She insisted on going for a walk. Having already called in sick, I couldn't resist her pleading and changed clothes to accompany her out of the house. Her review of the city I grew up in, a place she had only ever seen on video calls, was that it was new and beautiful. It's better than my hometown, anyway, she said, strolling leisurely. There's no energy there. Everyone just walks around with their heads down. What a surprise, I retorted. Go to the subway here and you'll see plenty of people staring at their phones. Not far from my house was a famous tourist street. She had known about it for a long time, and as soon as she saw the entrance from a distance, she insisted we go for a walk. Following the path of least resistance, I quickly agreed. Once upon a time, we used to walk side by side like this. Except back then, we weren't at my house and we were talking about dreams and the future. Is this any good? She pointed to a famous local snack. It's okay. Just so you know, if you want some, you're buying it yourself. I'm not a big fan. What's your problem? I can't eat a whole portion by myself. And we're not. She trailed off, silently ordered a portion of the snack, and then created some distance between us as she ate it alone. She had remembered, too. We weren't a couple. We weren't lovers. We were just two people who used to be together. 11-inch this is as far as I go, just like last time. I had driven her to the airport on the back of my scooter. She was holding my old phone. Without it, she couldn't contact her friends or scan her ticket to get through the gate. I sat on the scooter, waiting for her to come back after getting her temporary pass. I felt a wave of emotion. After our breakup, we were meeting again in this strange way for the second time. It was like a harmless prank played by the universe. I mindlessly opened a video app and scrolled through the same old content, my mind a jumbled mess. I felt my resolve wavering. I appeared in her dorm, then she appeared in my house. Was it our past relationship that caused this absurd experience? I was starting to have my doubts. Earlier, walking with her on the street, I felt a sense of disorientation, as if I were still that naive college kid. Maybe for a fleeting moment, just an illusion, we were both still thinking of each other. I didn't need to get one. They said I could just get a temporary one through the app by scanning my face. She ran back from a distance, showing me the temporary ID on the phone screen. Why did I have to get one at your airport? Or was it not necessary there either? And I just got it wrong. I was baffled, staring at the information on the screen. Who knows? Anyway, I should get going. I actually have a class tomorrow. She took the phone, slipped it into her pocket, and held out her hand to me. All right, we're even now. A trip for a trip. We don't owe each other anything anymore. That includes all the stuff from before. I shook her hand and felt a sense of release. So, can we start over? Don't use those cheesy internet lines on me. I sighed. Just get going. Be safe. She looked disappointed, but only for a second. She quickly regained her composure and waved at me. I hesitated, then called out her name. What? She turned back, blinking at me. I didn't actually get a new number. That was my work phone, I said, awkwardly showing her the QR code for my personal contact. Add this one, and remember to mail the phone back to me. You cheapskate. Hey, that thing was worth a few $100, I said, a little annoyed. What if you just decided to keep it, huh? She came over and gave me a playful punch, pretending to be angry and saying she didn't know I was that kind of person. You used to say things like that when we argued. Oh, here we go again. When we used to argue, it couldn't have always been my fault. Weren't you ever? She froze. Realizing what she'd said, her face turned bright red. She quickly apologized, saying she got a little carried away with the role-playing. It's fine. I didn't mind. For some reason, my own face felt hot. Actually, I've always wanted to apologize. I was so irrational in college. A lot of the time, we could have solved problems by just calming down, but I always had to pick a fight with you. Me too. Anyway, why are we even talking about this? It's so dumb. It's all in the past. We both laughed. The feeling of release I felt when we shook hands was even clearer now. Maybe we had both been waiting for this opportunity, an opportunity that hadn't come in 2 years. To let go of the past and embrace the future. Maybe that wasn't so bad. Okay, I'm really leaving now. After adding me on her app, she glanced back at me one last time and disappeared into the bustling airport. It wasn't until I got home on my scooter that I saw her message. The first thing that caught my eye wasn't a greeting. Can we start over? I tossed the phone on the sofa, washed my face, and stared at myself in the mirror for a long, long time. Stop messing around. I couldn't get over that hurdle from the past, and I refused to believe in any other possibility for us. 12-inch on. Hello there. She appeared in my bed once again. I silently closed my bedroom door, then opened it again. She was still sitting there. Oh, for the love of God. I'm on my perfect attendance. 3 months of bonus money down the drain. Smooth as silk, I booked her a ticket and confirmed her phone was with her. Then we sat together in my living room. I was just glad she always managed to show up when my parents weren't home. If she ever appeared in her pajamas coming out of my room when they were here, there wouldn't be a river deep enough to wash me clean. This is the 3rd time. Would you believe it if I said it was a coincidence? She shook her head vigorously. Once or twice could be explained away as a mysterious event, but when something happens more than 3 times, it's clearly not what it seems on the surface. I asked her if she had done anything special this past month, hoping to find the trigger for these transfers. But she said everything was normal. Classes, labs, research projects, or just lying in her dorm eating and scrolling through videos. What else? I think there has to be a condition for us to transfer to each other's side. Nothing else. Let me ask you this, she retorted, a little defiant. What were you doing the month you showed up in my dorm? I thought back. Work, taking the train, working on proposals, or just lying at home eating and playing video games. You have a nerve to say that to me? She laughed in disbelief. You weren't doing anything either. What do you mean I wasn't doing anything? My bonus. 3 months of my bonus are gone. Oh, shut up. I wasn't in the mood for jokes. I just told her to think back to what she did yesterday. If it was related to something we did, it must have been something recent. Yesterday, I didn't do anything last night, she said, her brow furrowing. Yesterday. Oh, her face turned visibly red. Did you think of something? I asked, clinging to this like a life raft. Quick, tell me. This is it. No, I can't. She shook her head frantically. It was only after I kept pressing that she finally spoke, hesitantly. Last night, I dreamed about you. What? 13 after a morning of back and forth. We finally had a preliminary understanding of the transfer condition. As I suspected, the transfer wasn't random. Just like in novels, it had its own set of rules. So, the condition is, she said, looking at the chart on my computer screen, we appear next to each other after dreaming about the other person. Not exactly. For us, dreaming about the other person the night before was only one of the necessary conditions. The other necessary condition for triggering the transfer was having a lingering feeling of attachment to the person in the dream. In other words, you only appeared next to the other person the next morning if you were still thinking about them in your dream. So that means she took a few steps back. You showed up in my dorm because you were still thinking about me in your dream? Ugh. Hey, excuse me, you're the one in my house right now. I shot back. You're the one who's still thinking about me. That's just fine. I can't argue with that. Her face was beet red. If our theory was correct, then the fact that she dreamed about me last night was an undeniable truth. Seriously, you're so rigid. You had to make a whole chart on the computer for this. Has your job made you stupid? Don't change the subject, I said, staring intently at her flushed face. Admit it. What are you really thinking? I suddenly realized I didn't actually care about her answer. Whether she admitted it or not, she was in my house, and she had dreamed about me last night. It seemed I just wanted to see her shy, flustered attempts to defend herself. Of course, she wasn't going to give in. She insisted on running an experiment, saying that since we had a theory, we had to test it. Otherwise, I was just slandering her good name. Slandering your good name? I laughed out loud. Fine, you tell me how we test it, Miss Genius. First, take me to the airport. I have a project presentation tonight. 14, I triumphantly sent her a mocking emoji. On the way to the airport, we agreed on an experiment. She sent me a bunch of old photos that I had long since deleted. My goal was to look at these memories before going to sleep, hoping to dream of her. Don't get the wrong idea. I just happen to have these saved in my cloud storage. She sent a pouting emoji, which to me just looked like she was trying to be cute. Thanks to her, I had to miss another day of work and lose my precious attendance bonus. With a what-the-hell attitude, I ordered some takeout and sat down at my computer. Instead of dwelling on what I'd lost, I decided to jump into a thrilling online match with my friends. Get online. Don't ask why I'm not at work again. Hurry up. Seeing a familiar avatar light up in the game lobby, I smiled in resignation and quickly typed a few words into the chat box. One win, and I'm done. Let's do this. As it turned out, that was a curse that could not be broken. When I finally took off my headphones, exhausted, the clock on my computer showed 4 zeros. Midnight. Man, bad luck today. Time to shower and sleep. You can't blame me, though. I had a better K/D ratio than you in a few of those games. After sending one last voice message to my friend, I collapsed onto my bed and half-heartedly scrolled through a few of our old photos. Is this really going to work? I was skeptical that these so-called memories could actually make me dream of her. I didn't even have to do this. I could just go to sleep, and when I woke up, I could just lie and say I dreamed of her. She'd have no way to prove it. But I still opened the folder of our memories. There was one thing I had to admit, even if I didn't want to. During this period of transfers, my life had definitely become less mundane. No way. You're definitely lying. During my lunch break, she sent me a voice message. When I played it, all I heard was an accusatory tone. What do you mean? No way. I did dream about you, but I didn't show up in your dorm. How should I know why? I was half amused, half annoyed. She actually thought I would appear again. At this rate, I really would have to quit my job. In truth, I wasn't lying. I had dreamed about her last night. In the dream, we went to Tokyo together. It was a place she had always wanted to go, but we never made it there before we broke up. What's wrong? Fighting with your girlfriend? A coworker sat down next to me with his lunch, clearly having overheard my phone. I quickly showed him a random video on my phone, saying I was just scrolling. As if that wasn't enough, I added that I hadn't even thought about dating since my college breakup. I think I remember you mentioning that. My coworker said, taking a big gulp of his soda. Have you ever thought about getting back together with her? I almost choked on my food. Sorry. If she bothers you that much, just pretend I didn't say anything. It's not that. I wiped my mouth. Your question just caught me off guard. But even though it was a peaceful breakup, I've never thought about getting back together with her. I had always believed that people who break up don't get back together. Constantly trying to reconcile is pointless. As I was explaining this to my coworker, my phone buzzed again. I made an excuse to leave the company cafeteria before daring to play her voice message. Is it possible, her voice sounded excited, that we only transfer once a month? Do you think this is your name? Once a month? Go to sleep, princess. I turned off my phone screen, straightened my clothes, and went back to my desk. She looked at me triumphantly. The starry string lights and the same pajamas, a familiar setup. I'll be damned. The moment I woke up, I had lost my 4th attendance bonus and officially said goodbye to my semi-annual bonus. But more than the comforting numbers that should have been in my bank account, I was concerned about something else. I had actually dreamed of her last night. From the look on your face, it seems I was right, she said, her smile widening. What did I tell you? It is once a month. Just let me out. Wait, where are your roommates? Is it okay for me to be here? She swished open the canopy curtain, but the room was empty. It's vacation time, Mr. Corporate drone, she said, making a gesture as if to say be my guest. I was too lazy to go home, so I applied to stay on campus. The dorm supervisor is only here at night, so you can come and go as you please. I'd rather not go to jail. I climbed out of her loft bed in frustration, sat down at her desk, and checked my pockets. I had worked until midnight, and then crashed on my sofa without even changing. As a result, not only was my phone in my pocket, but so were my ID, wallet, and work badge, everything. In that case, why not take a few days off? You have your ID. She leaned in, picked up my work badge, and laughed that my picture had gotten uglier since we broke up. Give me a break, I said, snatching my badge back. What about the money? Because of this stupid transfer thing, I've lost 4 months of attendance bonuses. Why are you so obsessed with money? You were like that when we were together, always so stingy. I shot her an annoyed glare, but had no comeback. Back then, I was saving for our future. Now, saying I was saving for myself for video games felt like a lie even to me. Maybe I just didn't have any other hobbies to spend money on, I thought, examining myself. All right, I'll pay for your lost bonuses. After all, you're the one who got transferred this time. She took out her phone, opened her payment app, and showed me her balance. The number wasn't any smaller than mine. What are you looking at me like that for? She poked my forehead. I earned this myself from freelance work. Did you forget? I can draw. So what do you say? Care for a spontaneous trip, my new friend? She looked at me with expectant eyes. We boarded the same train together. She had chosen a city I had never even heard of, insisting that I had to see it. Sitting next to her, I felt a little uncomfortable. We weren't in that kind of relationship anymore. This proximity wasn't right for us. I even started to question why I had agreed to this, questioning my own motives. From the look on your face, you must be plotting something again. She seemed to see right through me, her made-up face leaning in closer, which only made me more uncomfortable. I already told you, the past is the past, and the present is the present. There's nothing wrong with friends going on a trip together, right? She was much more at ease than I was. Her eyes held no trace of our past, only a pure excitement for the trip. She told me not to worry about it. The fact that we could dream of each other and travel together like this meant that we shouldn't have cut ties so completely. People say it all the time online. You can be friends after you break up. Let's just be friends. I never believed what people said online, but hearing those same words from her, they somehow felt more real. Thinking about it, maybe it was because I had thought the same thing myself. Come on, you big dummy. You showed up in my dorm twice, and I didn't make a big deal out of it. Why are you still so hung up on the past? Her words were like an arrow shot from a bow, striking the softest part of my heart. She's not wrong, another part of me said. Stuck in the past, that's the real me. Maybe so. I looked out the window, feeling annoyed, my heart wavering once again. Was I the one who couldn't let go of the past by trying so hard to cut ties with it? I couldn't figure it out anymore. This is way more comfortable than your bed, and my dorm bed. She didn't even take off her socks before flopping onto one of the hotel beds. The hotel we booked was in the city center, a bit of a distance from the train station, but close to the shopping district and tourist attractions. Oh no, the moment I hit the bed, I feel sleepy, she yawned. Good thing it's a room with 2 beds. It would have been awkward if it was just one king. Good call. Of course it's not a king bed. We're not a couple, I said, taking off my jacket and lying down on my own bed. If it were back then, I might have considered it. Considered it? Don't you mean you only booked king beds? She said with a wicked grin. Oh, I get it. Separate, but equal. Huh. Oh, shut up. When did you become like this? She didn't answer me directly, just grinned mischievously and went into the bathroom. Soon, the sound of the shower started. Don't you dare sneak in here. I'm serious. I'll call the cops. Who would do that? I couldn't be bothered to argue with her. I turned on the TV with the remote and idly flipped through the channels. The last time we were together like this was that night we ate takeout. I suddenly had a sense of unreality. Our paths were not meant to cross. Yet due to this magical transfer phenomenon, they had become intertwined again. We were doing the same things we used to do, but our relationship was not the same. What a mess. 19 when I woke up again, the sky was completely dark. I didn't know when she had finished her shower or when she had turned off the TV and the lights. I glanced over at her bed. She was lying there quietly, probably already deep in sleep. I slipped on a pair of disposable slippers and fumbled my way into the bathroom in the dark. Ah, you scared the life out of me. When I came out of the bathroom, I ran right into her sitting up in bed, her hair a mess. I can't sleep, she said, her eyes wide. Talk to me. Are you crazy? My heart was still pounding. Go to sleep. Don't you have to go hiking tomorrow? I can't sleep. Talk to me. After a few rounds of back and forth, I surrendered. And of all things, she brought up the past, our time together back then. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? I glared at her from my bed. Do we really have to talk about this? Are you scared? It was a dare, and it worked on me. I went along with her and started talking, until I asked the question, why did we break up? What a stupid question. She mocked me, but then fell into a long silence. Fine, you win. I don't know. Maybe it was because of one specific thing. She stared blankly at the hotel ceiling. because of the fights, because of the distance, because we didn't believe in the future, because our families didn't approve. She listed every possible reason she could think of. But among all the reasons she listed, there didn't seem to be one that we both agreed on. Let's look at it from another angle. Did we have any reason not to break up? The moment she said that, we both froze. It was probably because of all those things combined. Nothing in this world happens without a reason, especially not in relationships. Whether it's love at first sight or going our separate ways, there's always an explanation, even if it's just love. But neither of us had listed "we fell out of love" as a reason. I'm suddenly getting sleepy. Good night. She abruptly lay back down, and soon I could hear her faint breathing. Her words had made me feel sleepy too. I took off my shirt and closed my eyes peacefully. I've actually regretted it this whole time. I was instantly wide awake, but she was still asleep. When I leaned in closer, I could even hear her snoring. I must have imagined it, I thought. 20-hour short trip came to an end quickly. In less than a week, we had explored the entire city. And this beautiful city was indeed, as she had said, a wonderful place. During our short journey, neither of us brought up the conversation from that first night again. Even when we were hanging out or eating together, we acted like normal friends. I was even starting to get used to it. Being friends with my ex-girlfriend again didn't seem so bad. Maybe, as she said, if we couldn't be a couple, we were meant to be friends. I have to go back and revise that proposal. Ugh, so annoying. Sitting in the train station waiting area, I felt like I had been yanked back to reality, and a wave of negativity washed over me. She sat next to me, twisted open a bottle of soda, and took a few big gulps. You just have to work. I have to revise my lesson plans, give presentations, run experiments, and next year I have to start on my thesis and then defend it. But you're getting a higher degree. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? My comeback left her speechless. She could only channel her frustration into her appetite, taking another few huge swigs of soda. The station announcement chimed. My home and her university were in completely different directions, and the train to my city was already boarding. All right, I'm leaving. Take care of yourself. In a friendly way, of course. Why did I say that? Feeling agitated and having nothing else to say, I turned to head to the gate. But a hand grabbed my arm. Can we do this again? Go and miss me. I looked at her with a smirk. A little. I don't have many friends right now. Her words caught me off guard. After thinking for a moment, I reluctantly patted her head and said that if I had vacation time from work, I would find a chance to travel with her again. That's all I needed to hear. You can go now. I don't need you anymore. She was back to her usual cheerful self, waving at me enthusiastically. Watching her go, my own mood lifted a little. This kind of relationship, it didn't seem so bad after all. 21-inch. My bonus. A new month, a new day, and the familiar figure of her appeared in my bed again. Seeing my miserable face, she quickly realized what was happening and carefully climbed out of my bed. Oops, I really couldn't help it. You know how dreams are, she said with an embarrassed smile. You don't have to take the day off. Just go to work like usual. How is that possible? I shook my head helplessly, expertly opened my messaging app, and copied and pasted my usual sick day request to my manager. Given the once-a-month transfers, it was a miracle I still had a job. The next step in the process was to ask if she had brought her phone. If not, I'd have to use my app to buy her ticket. She looked around the room and regretfully said she hadn't been on her phone when she fell asleep. All right, I'll buy the ticket. I sighed deeply. Next month, when you dream of me, remember to grab your phone. It'll save us the trouble of mailing my spare one back and forth. I opened the ticketing app with practiced ease, but her hand stopped me. Don't buy it. She held up her own phone. Huh, wait, you. I looked at her, confused. You have it with you. Not only do I have it, I also told my roommate I wouldn't be back until after the break. Like a villain whose plan had succeeded, she plopped down on my bed. What do you mean? You're just going to stay here. I have to work. Looking at her, I suddenly realized she had come prepared this time. You don't have to worry about me. Go earn your money. If your parents are coming back, I'll just get a hotel room. I had no idea what she was planning. I just turned and went to the bathroom to get ready for work. When I came out of my work clothes, she was standing barefoot outside my room, waving at me with a smile. Didn't you take the day off? Why are you dressed like that? I looked down at my shirt and pants and felt like I could die. I really don't know what you're thinking. She suddenly rushed over and hugged me. What about now? Her face was so close to mine, I could feel her breath. I don't want to have regrets again. Tears welled up in her eyes. Is this some kind of April Fool's joke? Where's the hidden camera? I refused to look at her, but she ignored my joke and buried her face in my shirt. My work shirt. It's hard to wash. I kept making lame jokes. I knew she was brave enough to face the past and accept her true self. But what about me? My feelings for her? Were we friends, strangers, or was I just like her, unable to let go of the past? Was I afraid to make peace with my past self, or was I afraid to believe that this moment, right here, right now, was real? I suddenly noticed my hand was shaking. The living room was silent, so quiet you could only hear her sobs. To this day, I still don't understand what caused the transfers between us. All I know is that as long as I don't dream of her, and she doesn't dream of me in a particular month, our lives proceed without any issues. Whether I hugged her back that day or not, I can't quite remember anymore. I only remember that after I sent her off that day, my life returned to its so-called normal track. I didn't lose my job because of those few absences, and she went back to her studies. After that day, neither of us dreamed of the other again, and the transfers stopped happening. Looking back now, it really was just a prank played by fate, a way to get us both to finally let go of the past. No matter what, that relationship, those college years, and that strange transfer period after the breakup, it was all over. And that's for the best, I thought. No, it's not. Her voice suddenly popped up beside me. I say we should use this mechanism, to do something big, like you get a visa, fly to Tokyo, and then I dream about you. That way, we wake up in Tokyo and save half the money on airfare. I flicked her forehead hard. That would be an actual crime, I said, wagging my finger at her. This is why I told you not to think about me before you go to sleep. Well, that's true, she said, rubbing her hands together meekly. But I don't have to think about you anymore. We've been together for so long now. Are you talking about college or now? Thinking about it. It's been almost 6 months since you graduated with your master's. Time really does. Hey, where are you going? She suddenly stood up, ran to an open spot a little ways off, and made a peace sign at me. There are no cars in the shot. Quick, take a picture of me and the sky tree. The angle is perfect. I smiled helplessly and pressed the shutter button on my phone. The smile on her face in the photo was much brighter than the one of my dreams.